And what are we talking about today? We're talking about short and sweet RPGs worth your time. I'm sure many of you here love RPGs. I love RPGs. I love RPGs! He doesn't like RPGs, he's lying to you. He's just saying that just so he can, stand up here. For shame.
Stop telling them every all of my secrets!
Well, that's what today is for. It's for sharing all of our secrets, sharing some of my favorite games are going to be mentioned today, too. So, short and sweet RPGs worth your time. You're probably wondering, who the hell is this guy rambling right now? My name is Justin Guillou. I'm the anime news manager for a site known as OperationRainfall.com. You might know us because we were one of their fan groups that helped convince people that Xenoblade should come to North America, when Nintendo America was just like, no,
that was
going to play this game.
Last Story and Pandora's Tower.
Pandora's Tower and Last Story were also games on the rest as well. And RPGs are some of my favorite games. They've been a huge source of inspiration in my life. They've helped me through some of my darkest moments. And they've also been a huge source of positivity for me. So I really like these games, and I love talking about it, which is why I'm here right now. Yep. So, what do you mean RPG? RPG is broad. People will debate left and right over what even is an RPG. So let's do a little history lesson about what RPGs are. So obviously, role-playing games. So they go back to the 16th century where people used to do improv, and that's kind of like the roots of where role-playing started. And eventually that translated to video games. One of the first commercially available modern RPGs is known as Dragon Stomper for the Atari 2600. And as you can see from the screenshots, it's one of the first examples of a menu-based system. So you're taking turns, planning your attacks, talking to NPCs. Strategizing. So a lot of modern tropes from RPGs, they kind of trace their roots back to Dragon Stomper. But of course, that's kind of an obscure game today. Not many people know about it. People know about this game more. In 1986, a little known game came out in Japan called Dragon Quest. And this game sold like hotcakes. Yes, that's the guy in Smash Bros. We just had the trailer up. You youngins out there.
We might be capitalizing on a little hype.
But yeah, little game Dragon Quest came out, and then Dragon Quest 11 is coming out real soon too. A lot of people are excited about that, which is nice. But this game was just the beginning, because this game sold like hotcakes in Japan. Everybody was all about Dragon Quest. And eventually, you had more games like this game right here. Some of you might know it, others of you might not be familiar with it. This game that nobody's ever heard of, and Phantasy Star. Those are like the three big JRPG series in Japan back in the late 80s.
What's the one on the left?
The one on the left. So let's see how many people know this game? Show of hands. Good, we got a couple people who know it. Handful. Would you like to say what game it is? He's right. This is Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei. So the very first game in that line. You might be wondering why it doesn't say Atlas on the box art. It's because Namco actually had that IP first. And then in the early 90s, Atlas took it and then they remade it and called it Shin Megami Tensei. And even better, we're going to be talking about games from at least two of these today. So yeah, be sure to stick around to know which one we're mentioning.
It was going to be 3, but we asked Final Fantasy because who hasn't played Final Fantasy 4? Really?
Yeah. But of course, like I said before, RPG is broad because elements from the game, from the genre, would be used in all sorts of other games. A lot of other games use RNG. They have loot systems. And as a result, there's a lot of debate over what a true RPG is. Like Pikachu over here, Pokemon is a big name in the RPG scene because that added a whole social element to it. Japanese role-playing games on computers was generally a solo type of thing. You didn't really play with anybody, but Pokemon came out and suddenly, hey, let's sell all these link cables, let's sell all these Game Boys that came out 9 years ago. It prints money! It prints money! So yeah, Pokemon's crazy. But of course, like I said, the answer to this question is yes. Is Zelda an RPG? Let's see, show of hands. Is it an RPG? Is it an action-adventure game?
Half of you are correct.
We won't say which half, though. But we will be debating this to our graves. Like, seriously, I've seen some heated debates of this online. It's just so much name calling. Like, oh, it's an RPG. No, it isn't.
Zelda 2 seemed like it, though.
It's a video game. Shut up and enjoy it.
Exactly. Let people enjoy things.
No.
So, the problem with RPGs, I've been talking about how cool they are, how broad they are. they're long. They're really long. Like, I'm a guy, like, I have a full-time job. I don't always have time to sit in front of a TV for 90 hours and just grind on some enemy just so I can boost my attack up 3 points and beat some boss. And it can be incredibly intimidating to newcomers. Some people love that. They think, oh, hey, it's long, that means I get my money's worth. I'm paying $60 for this, well, I better get 60 hours of gameplay, otherwise it's a ripoff. And unfortunately, because people like that, sometimes games are designed around that so that you can sell it. Like Tales of Symphonia, I have a little clip of the box art that says, over 80 hours of gameplay in this epic. It's 50 hours, by the way.
False advertising.
False advertisement.
That's no good.
And unfortunately, you have games where they will pad the adventure out. Like, how many times have you played an RPG, and then you get to a point where there's like some cutscene, and then you fight a boss, and then some old wise man comes out just like, no, you cannot pass. You must get the 4 crystals in order to get through here. So then you run around the map for 30 hours, you find the 4 crystals, and then you get past that one cutscene, only for some other old man to go, no, you must get 8 old crystals all around the world, and then you go around the world again, and you do that for another 100 hours. Yay, $60. But yeah, that's one of the big problems with RPGs, is that sometimes the length can hurt it in that sense.
Right, games are supposed to be fun, they're not supposed to become a chore.
Exactly.
Right?
So it wants to be a full-time job. Who wants that?
Exactly.
So, can RPGs give the experience in less time? That's kind of the question we're asking ourselves. The standard length is generally 30 to 45 hours. That's what people consider to be a normal, healthy length without too much padding. You're usually looking in that. And a lot of modern RPGs kind of try to tackle that issue by offering easy modes or cheat modes. Like the modern Final Fantasy re-releases, they have modes where you can click the right stick and then you have max stats, just like that, and you just tear through the whole game. Or Final Fantasy IX has that one mode where, I think it's like if you get really far in the game, within 12 hours, you get like this really strong weapon, or something like that. I could be wrong, but I remember hearing about that somewhere. Or Reading Historia has a mode where you can win encounters just by swinging your sword at them once. Like stuff like that. Or like Earthbound had a feature where if you were several levels above an enemy, you just won the battle automatically to not waste your time. But, you know, the games will do that today, and that's really cool. It makes these games a lot more accessible. But we're not going to talk about games that offer easy modes like that. We're going to talk about games that don't have a lot of padding, that gives you what I consider to be a full RPG experience in a fraction of the time.
And that's why you're here.
That's why we're here. So for the games being covered here, this is the criteria we're going for. You have to be able to complete them in 25 hours or under.
And we're not talking like speed running either.
Yeah,
We don't expect you to skip cutscenes in order to make this criteria.
And of course, there is a bit of a give and take here, about like 3 to 4 hour give or take, because some people are going to be slower than others. So when I judge this, it's based on my own personal experience and also the community. So I actually do research this. I go on the forums. I'm constantly looking up how long people are taking, like how much time people are logging into these games. So it's not just like me, who's like, oh, look at me, I speedrun this in 23 hours. I'm so smart. No, I actually do.
You all know that guy.
Yeah, there's always that one guy. He's probably in this audience. All right, so of course, you have to be able to gain experience and level up, because I think one of the biggest elements of an RPG is growth, and an easy way to represent that is through EXP. And you get more than one party member, so you're not a loner. And also, the most important part, most of these games are accessible. I realize we're at a convention, there's lots of vendors, people trying to make money.
And they do not have us in their pockets, we promise.
Yeah. So many of these games are games that you can, at the very least, get them digitally at an affordable price. I had to take games out of here because they shot up. And there's some games I actually was able to add in here because they went down. And even better, most of these games are on handhelds. So if you have a PlayStation Vita, you're in luck, because quite a few of the games are on there. But, here's the thing. A lot of you are probably thinking, why did I mention the Vita? It's dead, it's a zombie, nobody plays the Vita, who cares about it? Well, I do. But that wasn't even come on digital, like that was the
PSP.
Yeah, that's PSP. And it wasn't
But it is a really good PSP game.
New Consoles entered a tournament. Actually, it's not last year, this is an old slide, I'm stupid. the Nintendo Switch came out, and it already outsold the PS4 in Japan, and there are lots of RPGs on it. And we're going to be covering some of those today. So, if you bought a Switch, this is your panel. Now, the games. So the first game we're going to cover is kind of a weird one, but just bear with me. .hack.GU, Volume 1, and also the other games as well. So originally released in 2006 by Bandai Namco, it's a trilogy that takes place after the original .hack trilogy, and it's meant to simulate an MMO world. And this game is really cool. There's a really good story to be told here, and it gives you that feeling that you're inside an MMO without actually being connected to the internet. It's weird, but it works. And this game used to be stupid expensive, like 70 plus, and then they had the remake that came out, and then suddenly I started seeing copies everywhere. This rare game that people were insisting was impossible to find started appearing once the remake was announced.
And that kind of speaks to the game's quality too. Like,
Yeah.
you know a game is good if it's 70 because there's demand for it. Also, just on this, I want to just throw this out there. This game, the PS4 version, does go out of production. I heard it's going to go out of production at the end of this year. So
Rumors,
not to pull a Metal Jesus or anything, but you might want to pick that up sooner than later because it's probably going to go up in price.
See, that guy's on Amazon right now trying to buy it.
He's got the right idea.
Yeah, he's got the right idea. He's buying like 8 of them. You'll be seeing him here next year. All right. So another game kind of in the same vein of that is Cyber Dimension Neptunia, 4 Goddesses Online. It's on the PlayStation 4. It was released in 2017 by Idea Factory, and the game was designed to parody MMOs. And it's very tongue-in-cheek and lighthearted. So the idea is that all these characters, they were transported into a beta, so the game is deliberately glitchy and weird, and the game often makes fun of development times. In fact, every character in this game is actually meant to personify an old company or console. It takes place in an alternate universe where the Sega Neptune was actually released, and that's the main character of the series. And as you can see, you have Blanche, she's Nintendo, Noir is meant to represent Sony, and Bear is meant to represent Xbox. And there's a lot of like jokes about the video game wars in the 90s. So if you really enjoy your video game history, this is actually a series that you would really like, because there's a lot of funny jokes in there, the characters are really charming. It's worth checking out. One of my personal favorites is Nights in a Nightmare on the DS. I don't hear enough people talk about this, and they really should, because it's one of the few video games that I genuinely cannot describe. And I'm gonna try to. Released in 2008, developed by Sting, who are the craziest people in Japan, I'm convinced. Their battle systems are ridiculously intricate. Like, I don't even know how they come up with this stuff. And it's part of the, I don't know if it's Depth Heaven or Department Heaven. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. And it's a really complex game until you just get it. Like, if I was to describe it, and it's not even doing it justice, it's like a mix of Ikaruga, StarCraft, Valkyrie Profile, Final Piece of Tactics. There's even some Fire Emblem in there too. There's like some bullet hell in there as well. There's even some like, it's nuts. And one
had me a Fire Emblem.
And a mystery.
Yeah, and there's like, when you're fighting enemies, you're dodging bullets. Actually plays like Undertale. Like the battle system's like Undertale. You have the attacks, you're trying to dodge a bullet hell style, and then you're playing a slot machine in the middle of the battle too, and then you're playing tic-tac-toe in order to win it. I'm not kidding, it's like, it is nuts. But it's a really good game though. It's well worth checking out. Another classic one, which is the original Phantasy Star. Released in, I believe it was 1988 by Sega, and it's the first in a long, ongoing series. And also one of the first female leads in an RPG was in Phantasy Star. And there's just first-person dungeon crawling goodness. They took Ultima and just refined it. And this game is particularly relevant because there was a new version that was released on the Switch, which gives you maps for the dungeons, which is huge. Because what people used to do in the 80s is they would get graph paper out and just draw the maps. And draw every trap that they find, every treasure chest that they find, because otherwise,
Games these days are all about immersion, okay? It doesn't get any more immersive than taking graph paper and going.
yeah, just picture some dude in like the late 80s just sitting in front of a TV in like a dimly lit room, just, oh man, that's good stuff. I love it. So here's a game that nobody cares about. And so here's the thing.
Gino for Smash.
You want to be crucified. Here's the thing with Chrono Trigger. Everybody and their mother, myself included, has written a review and has gushed about it. There is just not a lot to be said for this game that hasn't already been said 1,000 times. It's like the Mario 3 of RPGs. Everybody's played it. Everybody has praised it to high hell. If you haven't played it, go buy a copy. Someone was selling it for 40 bucks in there. Take it, play it, love it, done.
Okay, because I actually haven't played it yet.
Well then, take it, play it, love it, done.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned participation.
So, Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo. This is a game that this dude likes a lot.
So this is actually one that I found that by talking to people, a surprising number of people have not played this. It was released in 1996 by Squaresoft. It has a very notable script that is extremely humorous. I can't stress this enough. There is a cutscene where Mario literally charades what happened in like the first 20 minutes of the game, and it's hysterical. Like even by today's standards, it's still funny. The game is timeless. It has a kind of like a really interesting like real time timed actions combat system. I don't know what word you call it, but
yeah,
it's you hit a button to do extra damage or block damage, and it's timed hits. That's what it is.
In some cases, you negate it entirely too.
Yes, you can negate it entirely. It was, I think, the first time we were actually able to have Bowser in the party, and I mean, Gino for Smash.
Gino for Smash.
It's funny you said that because, you know,
We really do miss you, Gino. The game's phenomenal. If you haven't played it, it is available like literally on every digital platform, and it's totally worth it. It's short, it's funny, I can't recommend it enough. It's essential.
I believe it was on the Super Nintendo Classic that came out recently too.
Yes,
it was. Yes.
So, yeah.
Play it there and love Gino. So, all right, before we get into this one, well, hold on. Moment of silence, because this is a Konami casualty. Rest in peace, Suiko. You're part of the new year.
Hey, Dwayne, power button.
I just want to cry, guys. I can't. So, Suikoden is a very early PS1 RPG, released in 1996 by Konami. So this is before Final Fantasy VII. Hilariously bad box art. I mean, seriously, what happened here? So you create an army of over 100 characters. Yeah, they didn't know what it was. You can also participate in one-on-one duels, 6-character combat, or all-out war, which actually does play like Fire Emblem, funny enough. This is a really cool game, and the sequel is also really good. So yeah, check both these games out. You can play them on the Vita. It plays fantastic on there. It looks great on there. And it holds up surprisingly well. There is some pretty funny 90s localization here, but you know, it was the 90s. So then there's this game. Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Summoner, Raido Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army. And also check out the sequel, Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Summoner 2, Raido Kuzunoha versus the King Abaddon.
I thought you said that these were short and sweet RPGs.
Well, you know, the title is longer than the actual game, so I guess it's so cool.
Wow, okay.
Released in 2006 by Atlas. Takes place in 1930s Japan and is a combination of Ace Attorney, Pokemon, and Devil May Cry. So this is an action RPG where you get to befriend demons and have them fight with you. This game is awesome. There's great music, a really crazy plot twist towards the end of this one. I can't recommend this enough. Like, definitely check this one out, and also the sequel. Everybody talks about the Persona games. I'm all about Devil Summoner. This game is great. Another game that unfortunately has not been re-released yet, and that's Shadow Hearts on PS2. I actually almost got rid of this because prices are starting to climb for this one. But it's a very early PS2 RPG with an eerie horror atmosphere. So if you like horror games, definitely check out Shadow Hearts. It's actually kind of has a similar atmosphere to like Bloodborne too. So if you're really into that kind of stuff, Shadow Hearts is definitely up your alley. It's a spiritual successor to another short and sweet game that I can't include because it's like $100, but that is Kudelka on PS1. It has a great combat system through the Judgment Ring. Anthony mentioned that Mario RPG had a timing-based combat system. Well, this game also has one of those too. So you have to time your attacks in order for them to land, or timing button presses will let you do other things like you can haggle with shops, and if you time it right. It's a really cool game, definitely worth checking out. And here's a game, Star Ocean First Departure, one of the new games that we're going to talk about today. It was released in 2000, I believe it was 2009 by Square Enix, a remake of the original Star Ocean on Super Famicom. And it uses the bounce from Star Ocean to Second Story. And this is a cool one, and I want to mention this because they just announced that they're remastering it for the Switch. So those who haven't played this yet, you'll be able to play it soon on the Switch, which is awesome. Because this game is, it's not going to blow you away with its story, but it's cute, it's cozy, it's very comforting. It's a nice game.
It's important to note that not all games in the Star Ocean series are short and sweets, because there's one in particular, Till the End of Time, that will quite literally take you till the end of time to beat it.
And the thing with this series that's really cool about it is that I believe it's called private actions. So when you get to a town, you can initiate what they call private actions among your party members, where you get to enter the town with just that party member, and you get to learn more about them. And you guys have there's like a storyline. There's like a few story chains that you can do through that, and that actually can affect your ending too. I think like Star Ocean Second Story has like 30 endings or something just because of that. It's something ridiculous like that. So here's a weird one to include in here, but Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, and also I think this is a Konami casualty as well, because we haven't seen a Castlevania game in a while.
Oh, you're gonna make me do the back.
But just go.
Yeah, I'm not.
Let's hear that for Castlevania. I mean, I guess it is kind of alive because you have the Netflix show, which people are
Wait. You said Konami, right?
Yeah.
Wait, I just realized we have hope, guys. We might be able to see Castlevania Portrait of Ruin on a pachinko machine.
You know what's funny? I mentioned Suikoden being dead. You wanna know how dead Suikoden is? It doesn't have a pachinko machine, to my knowledge at least. That's how bad.
Well, that's the big oof.
You know you're bad when you're dead when you go and get a pachinko machine. That's nuts. But yeah, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, really great game. A sequel to Castlevania Bloodlines on the Genesis, which will be on the Sega Genesis Mini coming soon. What's nice about this one is that it's actually co-op, so you can play with somebody else. And there's some really ridiculous weapons, like you can throw pies at people and level that up. And, like you can actually fight Dracula by throwing pies at him, which is awesome.
And now I'm just imagining that the Netflix Castlevania, and I'm imagining Trevor, and Alucard, and Side. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Side all just barging in there with Bloody Tears playing. One chucking cherry, apple, peach, and Dracula's like,
My gluten allergy.
what is a pie? Well, it's a pile of crust, dough, and filling. And then he does.
But yeah, this is a really cool one. Definitely well worth checking out. I did see this in the vendor's room too. So here's a weird one that I bet no one has heard of.
I'm judging you right now.
Judge away. Mocha Mocha Friends on the 3DS. Released in 2015 by Axis Games. And I can't pronounce that name, so I'm not even gonna bother. So it's a very cutesy RPG, kind of similar to Pokemon, except here's the difference. You get plushies instead of actual animals. And the plushies fight each other, and there's actual battle damage, so you get to see them beat the stuffing out of each other, literally.
Checkmate, PETA.
Yeah. But, you know, despite the cutesy exterior, it's actually a pretty decent game. There's really solid dungeons in here. There's a lot of dungeon crawling, a lot of looting. There's actually even some Harvest Moon in here too. You get to like make a farm. It's actually a surprisingly good game. If you have younger kids and they want to introduce them to RPGs, it's a good one to show them, but it isn't the kind of game that's too easy either. There is some challenge here. So yeah, definitely recommend checking this one out if you could find it. It is getting a little bit harder to find because nobody knows about this game, but
I just imagined walking up to my friend Jack. He basically lives at the gym. He's about 450 pounds of pure muscle, and walking up to him saying, "Hey man, you should try this."
it would be funnier if you actually knew it, but like, yeah, that's like my favorite game.
Yeah, oh my God, I love this game.
He like lifts to like, Mocha Friends.
Get ripped, we make rings.
I play Mocha Mocha when I take my protein. Next up, River City Tokyo Rumble. So, is anybody in here like fans of River City Ransom? Yeah, awesome. Great retro game. So if you like that game, you're gonna love this one.
Wait, I didn't know Josuke was in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, this game is really cool. So River City Ransom, for those of you who don't know, is part of a much bigger series known as the Kunio-kun series, and that has been going on for about 30 years. There's speaking of that JoJo reference you made, there's actually a collection of Kunio-kun games that came out in Japan. It's called Kunio-kun Zawardo! Zawardo! I'm not kidding, it's actually called that. And so this one was released in 2016 by Natsume. It plays like an old school beat 'em up. It's kind of like a 2D Yakuza almost. So you're walking around, beating people up, getting money. You get party members, you can level them up, you can equip your weapons, and you can just do all sorts of over-the-top attacks. This is a cool one. Definitely check this one out. And also Rival Showdown is pretty good as well. That's also on the 3DS. And the first Fire Emblem
thank
on
goodness.
the
I
Game
get to
Boy.
talk about
Yes,
this
you
one.
get to talk about this one.
All right, so Fire Emblem is a franchise. It's my favorite franchise. So I wanted to talk about this for a minute. You don't get one protagonist. You don't get two. You get three. Count them, three. If you've never played a Fire Emblem game before, it's basically a grid-based map, and you move your units on your turn, and the enemy moves their units on its turn. And there's it's basically like rock, paper, scissors, but with actual soldiers. Swords beat axes, axes beat lances, lances beat swords. This is the first one that made it to the United States outside of Japan, and if you're familiar with the character Roy from Super Smash Brothers, the main character of this, one of the three main characters of this game, the one who's right there on the front, that's Eliwood. That's actually that's Roy's father. Roy is his boy, and
He's my boy too.
now we need to talk about Hector. Hector is basically a very angry god that you get to control.
And acts like
And so I'm just going to talk about Hector for this one moment because it's worth noting. Early in the game, a Pegasus rider is shot out of the sky. The character, yes, her name is Florina. She is falling. Hector doesn't catch the girl. Hector catches the horse, the Pegasus, and subsequently Florina with the horse, all right? That's the kind of man we're talking about, all right? When we say he makes gains, he makes gains. His daughter is Lilina, and Hector watches Roy like a hawk, like a very overprotective parent, and it's adorable. The dynamics between these characters, the support conversations, the writing, it's all phenomenal. Can't recommend it enough. But the only thing I will caution is it could take you long. It could potentially take you longer than 25 hours, just because it depends on how good you are. If this is going to be your first Fire Emblem game, just get ready because there are parts that are really difficult, and level your main characters up beyond level 15 before you hit a certain mission, or Lloyd will wreck your shit.
Yeah. So here's one that's near and dear to me.
Oh yes.
So Golden Sun, released in 2001, developed by Camelot. You know what? Like, I was about 8 when I first saw this, 8 or 9, one of the two. And I walked into a game store. They had a Game Boy kiosk up on the screen, like a giant monitor showing Game Boy games. You know, they would show like Mario Kart. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Advance Wars, well, I like the sprites. That's nice. They showed Golden Sun, my jaw dropped. It was love at first sight. This game was awesome, and it's still one of my favorites. Like, just look at it just speaks for itself. Just look at it. This is one of the first games to come out for that system. It was part of that first wave of Game Boy games. It looks better than half the library.
It really does, and I gotta tell you, I'm actually playing through it for the first time myself, and I'm very impressed with what they've accomplished. And I'm just at the end of the first dungeon right now. I only played like an hour or so of it, and I can't recommend it enough. This game is beautiful. I'm very impressed. I'm actually regretting I've slept this long on it.
The music is something else. Like, and it's funny because the composer has done other games, like a lot of other games, like the Tales games, but I feel like this is where he peaked. It's like when you can get this sound out of a Game Boy Advance, nothing else matters in your career. Just, oh my God, yeah, play this one. It's really cool.
You won't be sorry, really.
And it just shows you that we've come a long way. So the game on the left, that is Final Fantasy Legend 2. I actually had that game as a kid. And I went from that to Golden Sun. That was huge at the time. And I know today it doesn't matter because you got the Switch, you can bring that over, you already have console quality. But back in 2001, seeing that done on a handheld was mind-blowing. So yeah, I can't recommend Golden Sun enough. It's one of my personal favorites. Definitely check it out. So we get to talk about a game that was originally an import. Usually I talk about at least one import title, and this was actually the old bonus import title, but just the other day they announced that they're actually localizing it. Go figure, like what, 24 years later?
It's out. I mean,
It's already out, yeah.
They released it in the Mana collection, but they're actually remaking it and making it look really, really pretty. Really pretty, and then that's coming out, what, later this year, I think?
That's coming out later this year. And then the original version is also out right now on the Switch, and you can play it today. Unfortunately, they don't use the one ROM hack where you get to play as, where it's 3 players. It's only 2 players, which is kind of a bummer, but still, this is definitely a cool game to play with people. It's really short. There's several storylines you can play through, so the replay value on this one is through the roof.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories. We've tried starting this game multiple times, but we always have difficulties with the patch and getting the third controller to work, which really just speaks to the frustration of why do you have Secret of Mana, which is the second game in the series, have native 3-player support. You make a sequel to that, and you limit it to 2.
Yeah.
When there's 3 party members still. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But if you can get the 3-player patch to work and you got 2 really good buddies that you want to share a really good time with, Secret of Mana blew expectations when I played it, and we played it with my friends. And I could already tell just from the first few dungeons, this game is awesome. So yes, totally recommend it.
This is really, really cool. Get it on the Switch, just play with your buddies. So speaking of Switch games, we're gonna talk about another game that I don't hear enough people talk about. It's called The Longest 5 Minutes. So this game's kind of a hard sell, but it's really interesting. Basically, the game starts off at the final battle, and the main character loses his memory in the middle of the fight. And so the main villain is about to destroy the world in 5 minutes. Like he's casting a spell. And so within those 5 minutes, your party members are trying to make you remember everything that happened up until that point. So you're playing through several memories that take place over the span of 5 minutes, basically.
So basically dramatic flashbacks.
Yeah, it's flashback upon flashback upon flashback. And there's some really ridiculous plot twists towards the end. Like, it gets really insane, because you find out kind of like the main motivation behind the demon.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it, don't worry. You find out what's going on, and let's just say there's more than meets the eye here.
You mentioned that one at a previous game, and convention, and I've been very curious about it ever since.
Yeah, a lot of people are curious about it, but unfortunately when it came out, it was, I think, $50, and a lot of people were turned off by that. They figured, oh, I'm not gonna pay $50 for an 8-bit RPG. I'm not gonna play this looks terrible. But if you could find it at a good price, it's well worth checking out. The story alone is actually really interesting. Anyways, this next one, Pokemon Let's Go, kind of a controversial title, since it seemed like the internet lost it when this game was announced. But I kind of like it. It's really wholesome.
Yes, how dare Nintendo do things differently?
Yeah, it's kind of a retelling of Pokemon Yellow. You get to really spend a lot of time with Eevee and Pikachu, and you get to see the Pokemon in the overworld. It's just cute. And I think the Pokemon in general needs a cutesy game, especially after how ridiculously violent the community is being with the new one. Some for good reason, but it's gotten really out of hand, especially if you know what happened yesterday with Nessa. Oh boy. We're not going to get into that.
That was a storm. All right, so I could vouch for this one personally, only just because I did pick up Let's Go Eevee, playing with the Pokeball controller. It's a lot of fun. I mean, this is the game that 7-year-old Anthony wanted, but the technology wasn't there. Like, you can take the Pokeball and you can throw it, and it's accurate. Like, it feels good, and it kind of eliminates the frustration of random encounters, because you can see what's there before you go into it. There are a lot of improvements, and you still do have Pokemon battles. The only thing that's different is that as opposed to weakening the Pokemon first, you just go straight to throwing it.
Right.
The exception of course, being legendaries, which you KO their health and then you chuck the ball. But it's a lot of fun, and if you have a significant other, it is a phenomenal couples game. It is so much
co-op,
fun.
which is nice.
Played it with my wife.
Yeah, if you got little kids, then you can play that too. Yeah, I see. We got a couple over here just staring at each other like, oh yeah, we're gonna do that tonight.
Set the mood.
Let's spice it up.
Send me up, I'll sing for you too. Alright, so the next one. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torna. So, Xenoblade fans will probably scream at me for including this, because it's a prequel to Xenoblade 2, and technically speaking, you can play it standalone, but don't tell Xenoblade fans, because they will come find you if you do that.
Hey.
Power is better than Mithra.
Power is better than Mithra? Oh boy, I think we're starting to board here.
I've never even played Xenoblade, and I agree 100% with that.
But yeah, it has a faster battle system, and there's a bigger emphasis on building community in this one. And it's really cool. I love the battle system. It's so much fun. It's super fast. The music is unbelievable. I love that jazzy battle theme. I've been playing that almost every day. It's great. Yeah, this is such a cool game. And Xenoblade 2 is also a really cool game as well. So if you do play this, I do recommend trying out Xenoblade 2 as well, even though that game is much longer. Like, this game is about 17 to 20 hours. Xenoblade 2 is like 90 plus. It's nuts.
It's a big one.
Yeah, I think I have like 220 hours in it, and I'm still not nowhere near done. There's like a lot of stuff for me to do in it.
Now, what order would you say they should play them in? Two, if they're gonna play 2, they should play 2 first and then this.
I would recommend playing 2 first, then this, only because the battle system in this is so much better than in 2.
Going back is hard.
So it can make going back hard, but 2 is weird in the sense that the battle system is really slow and monotonous for about the first 20 to 30 hours, and then it suddenly kicks into high gear.
Does
And
Torna
then-
spoil anything?
So actually, it gives insight to certain things in Xenoblade 2, but it also sets up a lot of other things.
Okay.
So yeah, the next game we're going to talk about is Child of Light. It's on a lot of different systems. I believe there's a physical copy for the Vita. It was released in 2014 by Ubisoft. There's a really nice fairy tale aesthetic to this one. It kind of plays like Grandia in the battle system. So you get interrupts, attacks. It's a really, really cool one. I actually enjoy it a lot. It's really short. You can beat this in like a weekend. And it's just adorable. I like the little girl that you play as.
It's on Switch now, too. It's on Switch now, too.
Is it really? Oh, well, there you go. Another Switch game.
Excellent. Thank you for that insight.
See, I told you, the Switch gamers are getting a lot of love tonight. And as our bonus import, one of my personal favorites, Live Alive. Released in 1994 by Squaresoft. Why can't they localize this one? So, this game, how many people have played Octopath Traveler?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so
So, how many of you were disappointed about the stories and how they're paced and how they connect? Because I know that's been a huge debate in the JRPG community.
Not really.
Oh, no, that's good. That's good then. But this game does what a lot of people complained that Octopath didn't do. And so you play as several different protagonists throughout several different time periods. They all have their own unique theme to them, their own unique battle system while using the same engine. It's really weird how it works. Like, they managed to make a fighting game with this engine, a horror game, a game where you're trying to basically do like a tower defense type of thing. This game is wild with its ideas. There's even one story that's kind of cool where you play it as a assassin, this ninja, and you're trying to go into this castle, and your goal is to rescue someone. And how you do that is completely up to you. You can kill everybody, do it like an Undertale genocide route, and just kill everybody. You can kill no one and go pacifist, or you could just leave and say bye and just not do it. And each one of those will give you a different ending, and that'll affect the very end of the game, which is where things really get crazy.
You can literally walk in and say, "Screw you guys, I'm going home."
Do you want me to spoil the ending? Because the ending's actually really cool.
No.
No?
No spoilers.
So I'll just say this. This game does something really unique that I haven't seen done in any other game. If you really like villains, you'll like this one. I'll put it to you that way.
Oh, I like villains.
Yeah, there's something really cool that this one does.
The music is fantastic.
The music is amazing. And the battle theme is called not Megalovania, but Megalomania.
What?
Live Alive did it first, folks.
Actually, megalomania is a real word. Like, it just means like a person who is like obsessed with power.
And that actually fits this game really well if you know the twist too. Also, on a side note, the main villain, his name is Odio.
What?
Kono Diora.
Oh.
That's literally his name. It is great.
It's just Dio. His name is Dio.
It's Odio.
Odio.
Yeah.
Odio.
Oh,
Yeah. There's plenty of more games out there. So, what titles? I'm gonna open the book. What titles do you know that are short and sweet?
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I get to pick up. All right.
All right. Go for it, Anthony. Show no mercy.
I gave up, so I'm just lifting the stand. I pick on my big brother in the yellow shirt.
I know you mentioned Super Mario RPG, but I also want to mention Paper Mario because it is really
Which one?
the first two.
Paper Mario and then
Thousand
Thousand Year Door.
Yeah,
Okay, you could beat them in 25 hours less?
I beat both of them in less than 25 hours.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, most of the Mario RPGs are actually pretty short. Like, I actually used to have the Mario and Luigi games in here. Those are also pretty
The
short.
only one of those that wasn't was Dream Team, which my first playthrough on that was 60.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's
Dream
good.
Team was a long game.
I actually never played Dream Team so dang.
Well, I have played Superstar Saga, and if that does qualify,
That does.
Yeah,
It used to be
Superstar
there.
Saga
yeah,
is a short
it's phenomenal. Game.
Yeah.
Really good game.
It's good.
very funny. It's very humorous. So you like, I can't stress this enough. If you like humor in your games, some of these are really worth checking out. Because
All of the
they're very
Mario and
clever
Luigi
writing.
games were composed by Yoko Shinomura, the Super Mario
Oh,
RPG,
Kingdom
and Where
Hearts.
to Live,
Yeah.
and Kingdom Hearts. So, yeah, great composer.
Yes.
Yeah, those games are really good.
All right, let's pick somebody else. You in the back.
Me?
Yes.
I find a game that's short and sweet is Summon Nights for the GBA 1 and 2. They both
Yeah,
take-
actually, you're talking about a Swordcraft story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't really get another party member in those, but I do like that game, so we can talk about it for a little bit. It's nice because the sprite work is something else in there. You get some really big sprites. It almost plays like Tales of,
Yep.
in a sense,
Beat 'em
but you
up.
only play as one character, and you get all these different weapons. I like the drill, because you get to
My
charge it
favorite's
up
the
and
fish
just be
too.
all log on about it. Yeah, that's actually a really cool game.
I'm glad you know it. I don't get many.
Yeah, not many people know about that one,
Yeah.
so I like
They're
it.
getting on to us that we're weebs. Andy, you use that your hand up? All right, Andy, go for it.
Retro Game Challenge.
Oh man, so yes, I haven't played that yet, and I recently got a copy. But yes, Retro Game Challenge is cool because it does. Has anybody played the new No More Heroes, like Travis Strikes Again, I think, something like that? So think that game, but done a little bit better. That's what Retro Game Challenge is. So
Hot
basically,
take.
in a sense, you play as kids in the 80s, and the whole game is basically you're playing as a kid in the 80s, and you're getting magazines about new games coming out, and then you're eventually buying them as they come out, and then playing them on your Famicom. And they made all these fake 8-bit games. Like there's some RPGs, there's some shoot 'em ups, there's some platformers. And in order to really get through them, you need to read those magazines that come to you gradually. So the more you play the game, the more time passes in game, and the more magazines come out, the more games come out. So you're participating in like this virtual 80s video game community. It's interesting how they did it. And there's a sequel to it that we never got.
I can kind of make an argument for one being kind of short, but after this kind of Saga Frontier on PS1.
Saga Frontier.
Because
Yeah.
there's 7 story scenarios that are each about 15 hours
Mhm.
each. And you don't really need to beat them all. You just get access to them, but yeah, whoever wrote my credits reel.
So Saga's kind of interesting, and I'm glad you brought that one up because
Also, I noticed it called Final Fantasy Legend 2 by that name, and I didn't mention that it was called Saga 2.
yes, I was getting to that. So Saga is a really interesting series for various reasons. Final Fantasy Legend 2, when it came out here, it was actually Saga in Japan, and I believe in Europe they call that game Mystic Quest or something like that. You don't think? Or maybe I'm thinking of I'm thinking of the Secret of Mana, the first one, the Final Fantasy Adventure. Yes,
Final
think of
Fantasy
that.
Adventure.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, so Saga is a really interesting series in the sense that it's one of the, when it got to Romancing Saga on Super Nintendo, it's the rare 16-bit open world game. You can kind of just play it how you want to play it. You're not often restricted in what you want to do. And if you like games like that, I highly recommend Metal Max. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, I haven't.
It's like, think Fallout if it played like Final Fantasy IV. So you play in this junkyard, and eventually you can just walk around. You can go put out hits on people, and then you can go hunt for parts, and then you get tanks too. There's even like dogs with rocket launchers in there too. It's pretty wild. And at any point in the game, you can just talk to your dad and say, "Hey, I want to go home," and then the game ends.
Speaking of Final Fantasy IV, I just want to, since it was going to originally be here and we have a little time, I do want to just briefly talk about that one. Great story, mostly because it takes every expectation and throws it out the window. Not like with quality, but where you think the story is going to go. I think it's going to go one way, and nope, it goes here. And then there's another twist, another twist. And the twists, quite frankly, they just don't stop. It's a roller coaster. And, which is funny, because for the time, roller coasters and RPGs were kind of like, plots were kind of predictable. That's what I'm trying to say. But if you haven't played Final Fantasy IV, that, the intermission game, and then the after years are all great games that you can get in the complete collection on PSP if you have one, or if you've got the Wii and the virtual shop. Oh wait, the virtual shop's gone. But anyway, the complete collection for Final Fantasy IV, they're good games. But 4 really is it's an awesome experience, really.
So we got time for one more person, then we're gonna get into our giveaway. Let's see, who do you want? You in the orange.
So this came out for the NES and it's being re-released in the SNK collection of Crystalis.
So Crystalis, yeah, it's short, but you don't get more than one party member in it.
Ah, yeah.
But it is a pretty cool game. If you can find it on the NES, it's still pretty cheap, surprisingly. That's definitely one worth checking out. If you like the original Legend of Zelda, it plays kind of like that. But yeah, definitely check out Crystalis. That's a really cool one.
Believe me, I feel you on that one, because I would be up here talking about Undertale for an hour if you got more than one party member.
Yep. And Deltarune doesn't qualify either.
Because you can't gain extermination points.
Exactly. And I'll suggest one, even though I haven't played it, a lot of people have suggested it. The World Ends With You.
Oh yeah, a lot of
Sweet.
people have suggested that to me. Yes.
Yeah. But the truth is, I actually don't have it and haven't played it.
They say that the original DS version is the definitive version of that game to get. The Switch version is a port of the iPhone version, which, why would you do that? But anyway, if you can, pick it up on the DS. It's a little hard to find, but I'm told that it's really worth your time. So, raffle time?
Yeah, we can do a raffle. Alrighty then.
Who likes to win prizes? Raise your hand.
If you don't, I tell you to leave. Alright, so we got three prizes here today. So, do you want to hold for some? Or just
I think the first two just came out.
Alright.
Alright.
So our first winner today, can we get a drum roll?
You can do better than that. Come on, just off the feet.
Come on, slap your legs.
I can't do both.
Ants. 3, 4, 0, 3, 6, 1.
Hey!
That's right, son. Take a bag in the back. That's right. Any bag you want. Any bag in the middle. All right.
What's in it?
Awesome. Wait, yeah. Show us the bag.
$20 each-shot.
Yeah!
All right, next. Let me just make sure this one wasn't too similar to the last one. Okay, it's not. Come on.
All right, let's get another drum roll.
This one's gonna be 340 404.
Gonna almost win it.
Whoa.
Ooh, we got a winner up here.
It's a vampire cosplay,
Pick a bag.
right? No.
That's not even bother trying.
So it's a vampire cosplay.
There you go.
Here's your winning ticket. Hey, first guy, do you want your winning ticket so you can like frame it? It's a little souvenir. All right, cool. I got you.
All I want is too many games.
All right, you know what? I picked 2 of these and read the numbers on 2 of these. You're the generous host who has provided the.
I get to read the last one.
Yeah, nope. I'm reading it too. 340.
So we got 340421. Yeah! And here you go.
Open it!
Show us what you got.
Open it.
Whoa!
Yeah!
Plot twist. He was the guy who was trying to buy 8 of them online during the course of his
No one will ever notice. Would have gone away with the 2 going for your millions.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Yes,
Please
yes.
stick around for Tournament of Voices. I'll be hosting that as well.